Masahiro Matsuno with another play for the ages. Valeria looking long. Ball check gets open again.
Welcome to Ultiworld's coverage here of the World Ultimate Championships 2024 on the Gold Coast in Australia, and it has been another scorcher of a day here. Day 2 of the pool stages and of course 3 of the overall tournament. Myself, Hannah Pendlebury, alongside Katie Locke and Andy Moroney, and it has been a phenomenal day on our showcase fields. Tell us what it's been all about.
I think there's been some really tight matches across all 3 divisions. We've seen some really tight matches. And what have you seen, Andrew?
Yeah, I think we've also seen some interesting results. So I know we're going to expand on that later. Some countries maybe not having the start that they think. And then on the flip side, some lesser known countries having really strong showings.
Absolutely. Well, talking about our key points, to lead in from your point, Andy, that first one, of course, India and Singapore really ascending in the mixed division and giving some of the top nations really hard matchups for sure. Colombia and the USA, of course, in the women's division, getting their first real tests in these pools of 2. And the pool of doom, Belgium emerging with some big wins, especially over Japan in the end, and some of our World Games contender nations, those that have appeared in 3 of 6. They're struggling out here. So let's move into the mixed division first. Those pool stages, what's shooting out for you, Katie?
I think the real uprise of India and Singapore in particular, they've come to stamp their authority in the world stage and show the powerhouses what they're capable of and give them a real scare. In particular, we can see Singapore undefeated so far as they'll go up against France for a true testing for the top of the table in Pool D. India also not to be underestimated, going 2-1 and getting really close against defending silver medalist Australia.
Yeah, the other one that stands out for me is Pool D. Chinese Taipei 2-2. You probably expect to see Colombia 1-3 a little bit higher, and I believe Chinese Taipei's last game I think is against Malaysia, so that scoreline could improve even more. Great start from them.
Absolutely. Well, we certainly have some of the head-to-head and points difference tie rule breakers coming to the fore in the early standings here. Moving across to the women's division, we already said that we've had our top 2 contenders really getting their test. We had an amazing game between Colombia and Canada women. But Andy, talk us about through Pool A.
Yeah, I think you'll have seen things go to plan for the United States. I also think Australia will be thrilled with their start, both undefeated, and then after that things start to get a little bit tight. I think Japan probably didn't expect to be 2-all, but so they've got a bit of a challenge, as we move into the next stanza of the tournament.
And Katie, some of these Europeans are struggling.
Yeah, we see Great Britain, who have traditionally been in the World Games, not getting a single win so far in their women's division, and that may be a lot of disappointment as they were seeded above a number of other teams in Pool B, and they'll be playing against Canada tomorrow, who have only had 1 tight loss against Colombia. So Great Britain's chances are looking very, very slim to get into the top end of the tournament now in this women's division.
Oh, well, backdoor hopes for them perhaps. But let's have a look at some of the scenes earlier on today from Canada versus Colombia. As we said, taking their first loss in the pool stages. And we were on the call for that game, Katie. What were the real standout plays for you?
The real standout plays for me is the defensive intensity that Colombia brought. They weren't as clinical on offense, having less clean holds than their Canadian counterparts, but they were able to fight back and get the disc every time they needed to. But we saw phenomenal play from both sides, and I think it shows that both of these teams are going to go far into the tournament and stand a real chance for medals.
Absolutely. Annie, you didn't get to call this one, but what are your thoughts for this Colombian women's side?
Look, I'm enjoying watching the replays. If the game was as good as the highlights, I think you guys had a real treat. So, I think we were talking earlier, Colombia in the mixed division, maybe not where they want to be, but the women look pretty strong, pretty scary.
Absolutely. And of course, the Japanese women giving the USA a very big run for their money. I'm sure plenty of folks will be watching that one back if they weren't catching the action live. So moving, of course, to the Pool of Doom in the Open division, Pool B. Well, looking at these overall standings, of course, Belgium taking that gold medal in emphatic stages at the European Championship level last year, coming into the season with lots of sponsors, and they've really been doing a great job out here.
Yeah, I think when you're looking at, on paper, which would be the most challenging pool, the Pool of Doom, as you say, Belgium, Japan, France, all with quite high seeds. We've seen close games consistently, but Belgium, as you say, a lot of hype coming out following their Euros performance, but I think they've justified some of the hype. I think they're the real deal.
How about you, Katie? Have you been keeping track of this Open division?
Certainly with Australia, close to my heart, and it's good to see the Dingoes have gone 3-0 so far. In Pool A, USA having a really strong, dominant performance and would expect nothing less. They have not quite been tested yet, but I'm sure as we go into the power pool stages tomorrow, they will actually be tested for the first time, coming up against another highly seeded team.
Absolutely, and of course the Dingoes getting that big universe point finish. Congrats to the lads over the German nation. That one was a real scintillator. But our World Games contenders, we mentioned it in the top line, Colombia and Great Britain have appeared in 3 of the 6 World Games outings in history. Of course, it's been about recent performances for Colombia, building on that host bid back in Cali, back in the day in 2013. So in terms of these two teams, I mean, certainly we're going to get a big performance and finish out of the Colombian women, but Andy, talk us through these other hopefuls.
Yeah, it's funny saying back in the day in 2013, you're making me feel old here, but yeah, look, I think a really interesting subplot to this tournament is what the World Game implications are. You need to have a really strong ultimate program across all of your divisions, all of your competitions, or you are going to pay the price. So, you know, I think it's going to be an interesting rest of the tournament. It also means every game, every point is important, because that points-based system means that there could be a big difference between finishing 9th and finishing 5th. So there's still everything to play for regardless of this tournament.
Well, talking about the Open division, we do have some power pool previews for the opponents that are yet to come, and then we'll talk a little bit more about that Dingoes performance.
Well, we have the pleasure of being joined by 2 of the wonderful Dingoes who got that big universe point finish today, Dylan Bennett and Jackson Botjay. How are you guys doing?
Yeah, really good. Thanks. Great win, so unreal.
Absolutely. Well, I know you've been ice bathing it up, but we'll start with our first question for you, Dylan. So you took the half with an 8-5 lead, which has got to be one of the most dangerous scorelines in all of Ultimate. So tell us the story. What went down in that second half?
Yeah, we knew that Germany were a really slick and well-oiled machine, so we expected them to be strong from the start. We got out to a hot start ourselves, but we just knew that wave was going to come, and they came out of that half-time break. A couple extra rotations on from their roster meant a bit pressure, and then, yeah, full credit to our boys though for that pressure and absorbing that wave, and another one threw away, and we managed to hold on.
Brilliant. Well, in terms of obviously that big opening game had a huge crowd with incredible vibes, which must have been really exciting. So Jackson, tell us how the week's been so far, especially playing Worlds on a home soil.
Yeah, so it's quite a unique experience. Obviously, when you're playing Frisbee around the world, you can't bring your family with you. But over here, every single player's got someone supporting them. And something the team's done really well is we've introduced the people that are supporting us. We've got to know who's there, who's your mum, who's your dad. And it's really special to meet every single person in every single person's family, and then bring them along for the journey. So we're making sure we're including them. We're making sure that they can help us in some little way. And those 1%ers that everybody's bringing together is what's making it really a unique experience for all of us, and a unique experience for them as well. It's been awesome.
It's been a 36-year Dingoes legacy, starting from the very bottom of the standings and getting on the podium twice so far. So what does it mean to the both of you to be playing for Australia Open?
Yeah, I mean, it means everything to us. Like growing up as little kids in Australia, you know, you're watching Test cricket, you're watching, you know, netball, you're watching the Olympics. It doesn't matter what it is, but it's every dream that everyone has to wear the coat of arms for Australia and represent the green and gold. And we're lucky enough to do that in our sport. And so we're really big on the impact we might have around our community, and so everything we can do to give back and to make sure that we're having a positive impact on people and they understand what we're about as the Dingoes is kind of what we're all about, and being able to do it with the green and gold on makes it even more
The coaches and the teams put a big emphasis on going over the past teams, knowing who was wearing your number, who's worn it previously, understanding what number you are in terms of, I'm Dingo 149. And so it's really good that the teams continue to build that legacy, and that I'm, only a stepping stone in a long line of people that are with dingoes to come. And obviously the people or the kids that are watching today are going to be future dingoes later. We're hoping to continue to sort of build that legacy so we leave it better than when we played it.
Well, a pleasure for us to be joined from history in the past about an hour ago by those two players from the Dingo side. But of course, the power pool standings, looking at the opponents yet to be faced. Katie, which of these is shaping up nicely for you?
I've obviously got my eye on Pool E with United States and Australia, along with previous powerhouses, Japan. They're going to be really tested, as well as Colombia, and all of those nations having appeared in World Games in the past is going to be really important for them. Pool F will also be an interesting one as well, with Belgium not having previously been in World Games as far as I'm aware, but their open side looking very, very strong and a dominant force to be reckoned with. So I think Canada and GB are going to have their hands full in that pool.
Well, Andy, you got a little bit of a preview of the GB form this morning, I believe. How are they looking against the USA?
Yeah, I don't think they had the game they wanted. I think everyone was probably anticipating it to be a little closer. There was a lot of positivity from the coaching staff being taken out of the game, but USA laid a marker down. I think not only these two teams, but the rest of the Open division was probably watching that score to go, where are they at? Let's feel each other out. Two teams expected to do well. USA stomped them. It was a real dominant display.
Well, of course, having attended Windmill and a big, strong roster crossover with, of course, that Clapham outfit. Even the final, they had Josh Briggs coming across to kind of bolster them, one of the best throwers in Europe. So they learned a lot of lessons. Certainly, we know that those players can really bring a competitive game. So hopefully they can pull things together for those power pull stages. But that will wrap us up for the recap of Day 2 here at the World Ultimate Championships 2024. Make sure you tune in for all of the action on our Ultiworld streams, all four fields, bringing you that back-to-back action and glory. And it's been a pleasure to have you on as well. And we'll have our recap game as well as our evening showcase rounds. They're just putting the test up for the floodlights. We're going to have all of the fans, all of the players hanging out and enjoying the atmosphere. But myself, Hannah Pendlebury, Katie Locke and Andy Maroney will see you tomorrow.